Welcome to version 3 of the Advanced VR Character template. In this update I overhauled the entire grab system. For example, now when you import a weapon you no longer have to set any sockets. First of all, in the blueprints folder we have the grabbables folder, and in here we have our grabbable base actor. Now I just created this just so you have a base to go off in case you have universal logic that you want to apply to all of your grabbable objects. You can do this here and use this for props, like for example this cup here. And for the other weapons I also created a base class, because before I simply created them directly from the blueprint class. Of course, if you want to add your weapon that way you can still do this. Just right click, go to blueprint class and search in all classes, and search in all classes, for example for weapon base. And then you can decide if you want to use the blueprint melee weapon base or the C++ one. Same for projectile and shotguns and whatsoever. Now the advantage if you're using this one is you already have things set, for example your effects. So you can see here the penetration and hit sound, they are already set and you don't have to reset them again in your created blueprint class. If you decide to use the C++ class as your child class and not the blueprint base class, just remember you have to set these values. But now let's get to the actual changes in the grab system. I will use the knife for this, but it's the same on every other weapon. So in here we have our hand mesh. Here we have the primary mesh, and I will just copy these and reset this for now. So you see the same as I would. Actually, delete the local poses as well. You don't really have to touch those because they're updated automatically. But just for demonstration purpose, I will do this so it will look the same as it will for you. And by default, you will see this secondary hand as well. I hide it here because I don't need it for the knife. I only want to be able to grab the knife with one hand. Well, I should say I only want one fixed hand animation for the knife, which would be the primary hand. If you grab it with the left, it will simply use the procedural animation. If you select your mesh, you most likely won't be able to move it. This is on purpose. You can see it tried to set it, but it doesn't do it. What you need to do, you have these points here, which are all the bones. So select this and then you can move around the hand, and the hand socket or the hand bone is the only one you can move. This is also by design, because this is the offset that will be used in the physics constraint to set the offset of your full body hand mesh. And the reason the hand was rotated 180 degrees at the beginning is also by design, because the bone of the hand on the full body mesh also has an offset of 180 degrees. So that's why that was like that. If you plan on using your own mesh, you have to make sure that you get this right, because here for example, I'll just reset this again. The way you can test this, if you simply add the hand bone right now, make sure that the rotation is 0 everywhere, and when you were to grab the knife now, you can see the knife is looking the opposite way. So that's how you know that you need to rotate your separated hand mesh 180 degrees on the yaw axis in this case. But that's only if you want to add a custom mesh with a custom skeleton. If you're using the Unreal Engine 5 mesh, this already works out of the box. So anyway, now you can rotate this, set its location, you can set up the rotation of the fingers. Oh, there we go. Actually, I want this to like that. I'll just quickly create something here. Doesn't matter too much. You can rotate the fingers. You can align them so they match with your animation or however you like it. You can compile and then it will actually apply these. Now I already had these values copied, so I'll just paste them in here, and now you can see the local poses. They didn't update. All you need to do is just edit one bone rotation or location, then it will automatically update, as you can see. Now we only have half of them because we only have the right mesh for now, and this only contains the skeleton for the right hand, of course. So if you want to set the left hand, you can simply come over here, or first select your primary hand configuration, come over here to the details panel, and on the visualization mesh, here you can select the left hand. Again, this is correct now because I already have this set up previously, but it's the exact same procedure as for the right hand. And since the local poses only update when you move a bone, I will do this a little bit, and now we have 32. The reason why it is important that the local poses are updated is because these are the poses that we will actually use to set the bone rotations of our full body hand. Because the custom one use the component space, because the way it is set up, a posable mesh component can only use world or component space, not local bone space for whatever reason. That's why we store it here. And the only reason I made this editable is so you can delete it if you want to reset those values. But other than that, you don't really ever need to touch this. So okay, now let's say we have set up our animation, so we can compile, save, and get out of here. And here on the knife, if you test it and it doesn't work with the animation, what you can do is in the details panel, come over here to primary hand, and then it's possible that here you see, for example, 0 array elements, but then you should have a little arrow here where you can go back to the default values, which would be the values that we've set. So here it isn't, but just as an example, I will delete this. So you can see now we can reset this property to its default values. Now if we have our values again, it is possible that this arrow persists, but that is fine. And now we can go ahead and grab it. Bit laggy during the recording, but you can see for both hands this is correct. Now the knife is a weapon base, so it only has the primary and secondary hand configurations, but on a projectile weapon like the AK for example, here we have a few more options. And here we have the secondary and primary hand. The secondary hand would be the grip, so just make sure that your secondary hand is always on the grip. And here we also have a trigger. So we have our primary hand trigger pulled configuration. I haven't really found a better way of doing this here, but all I basically did was first set up my primary hand, come to the custom pose deltas, copy, go to the primary hand trigger pulled, paste it, and then adjust the trigger finger bones, and then that is all set up. And then we also have the slide hand configuration. So here again you can set up the hand animation for the slide, and right now you can see all of them. I usually hide all of the ones that I'm not currently editing, so they aren't in the way. And here it is always exactly the same. Position the mesh, rotate the fingers so they look correct. If you want to edit the left hand mesh, go to left hand mesh, and so on. Currently there isn't a mirror feature. I haven't quite figured out how to do that properly yet. I am looking into that in the future, so that will come eventually. But for now, this is how it works. And one important little tip on the shotgun, or especially on a pump action shotgun, where grabbing the hand with the secondary hand is also pulling the slide. Here you do not set the secondary hand, because your hand is basically always on the slide. So all you need to do is just set the slide hand configuration, and then you're good. The secondary you can actually hide this. So just not that you set up the secondary hand and then realize, wait, this doesn't even work on this weapon. But again, even if you did, don't worry, you can simply copy paste the values over to the slide hand configuration and you're good. So you can see, for example, here in my grabbable actor, the mug that I added, here you also have the primary and secondary hand animation. So if I grab this now, you can see now I can grab it with both hands, and that also works. And all of this, of course, is also replicated. And it's the same for the magazines. They also have the grabbable actor base class, so you can still grab it. And one more thing that I also added, this is for any class that implements the grabbable interface. Here you now have new events, so event on start grabbing, the event on update grabbing, this will be called every tick, and then you also have the event on stop grabbing. So with this, if you want to add some custom logic every time you grab a weapon, for example that it plays a sound or whatever, you can do this with those events. So yeah, that's pretty much the new grabbing system. It still needs to be fine-tuned, and there will be more features like mirroring, for example. If you need any help with the template, join my Discord. We have a growing community there with people that are really helpful, and there you can also get access to the GitHub where you can get the source code of the template, and you can also download it from the GitHub as a project and not as a plugin, which makes it a little bit more easy to use, because with the plugin you still need some project settings set up correctly for it to work properly. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye!